All living organisms have an internal time. Today we will discuss the deep history of this internal time and the evolution of the circadian system. We often measure the output of circadian systems. Like in humans, we measure the cortisol peaks, melatonin surges, and glucose metabolism. However, to truly understand the metabolic and endocrine dysfunction, we must understand the evolutionary of why behind the circadian clock in living organisms. The escape from light hypothesis says that the circadian rhythm is not a luxury of complex life. It is an ancient survival mechanism. The earliest clocks likely involved in prokaryotes 2.5 billion years ago during the Great Oxidation Event. Why? For UV protection for one. Early life forms needed to replicate the DNA at night to avoid the high mutagenic potential of solar ultraviolet radiation that occur during the day. So they can conserve the DNA from mutation. Second is the metabolic partition. By anticipating sunrise, organisms could segregate incompatible biochemical processes. For example, photosynthesis, which can occur only during the day, which produces oxygen, from nitrogen fixation, which is inhibited by the oxygen and can be shifted to the night. Now, from prokaryote to mammals, conservation and convergence always is there. With the specific proteins differ between these domains of life, the fundamental architecture, the transcription translation feedback loop is conserved in the entire biology of living organisms. Let's see, for example, the retinal ganglion sense would be the input in a typical circadian rhythm, and that synchronizes the internal state with the solar day, which is called entrainment. Then there's the oscillator to which it relies to. They are the clock, BMAL1, PER, and the cry proteins. These maintain a 24-hour rhythm, even in total darkness. And the output are the hormonal pulses that we usually measure, the ACTH pulse, the TSH pulse, the melatonin pulse. These orchestrate systemic physiology to meet the predicted demands. And now coming to the endocrine master switch. Suprachiasmatic nuclei in mammals is the endocrine master switch. It is the conductor. It is located in the hypothalamus. Now let's see the shift from autonomy to centralization. In primitive organisms, every cell was self-sufficient clock. So there was no need for a rhythm or a suprachiasmatic nuclei. In humans, while peripheral tissues like liver, pancreas, and adipose have their own clocks, they require suprachiasmatic nuclei to maintain synchronized via autonomic and endocrine signals. So these used to reset the clocks of the rest of the body. Coming to the glucocorticoid link, the suprachiasmatic regulates the paraventricular nucleus, leading to rhythmic release of CRH. This in turn pumps in glucocorticoids. This is the primary mechanism by which the body's central clock resets its peripheral clock. Now let's see about what is happening today, the social jet lag problem. Our endocrine systems are optimized for a world that no longer exists. The evolutionary lag between our biology and our technology, that is artificial light, 24/7 food, and night duties, creates a circadian misalignment. Evolutionarily, we are programmed to be insulin sensitive during the day. Late night eating disrupts this ancestral signaling of hunger and satiety hormones. Also, let us see about melatonin. Modern blue light exposure at night is an evolutionary novelty that suppresses melatonin, leading on to not just poor sleep, but to the loss of the nocturnal antioxidant insulin sensitizing effects. For example, let's see, metabolic syndrome is often a symptom of internal dyssynchrony of these clocks, where the liver clock thinks it is midnight, while the suprachiasmatic is being told that it is noon by the bright LED screens, and you know what dyssynchrony it creates. So let's summarize the evolutionary trajectory. Moving from the reaction to the environment to predicting it, that was anticipation. Transitioning from single cell oscillators to centralized master clocks like suprachiasmatic nuclei. Coordinating using hormones like cortisol, insulin, melatonin as the language to keep the 30 trillion cells in the human body on the same schedule. This is what the circadian rhythm does to us.